Hello, and welcome to Info 3104, Relational Databases and SQL. Let's get started. For this week, I just wanted to cover the agenda first. We're going to talk about online courses and the pros and cons, and that seems appropriate since this is an online course. I also want to review the course information sheet with you and talk about the goals and objectives of this course, the structure of the course, the textbook, or lack thereof really, the evaluation as well, so you'll know how you'll be evaluated as per this course. I also wanted to discuss Oracle. We're going to be using Oracle within this course, and I wanted to make sure you clearly understand why. And the last thing is I want to talk about the Week 1 lab and how do we get started. As I've mentioned already, that this is an online course. But what does it mean to be online? Well, first of all, there is no fixed time that we're going to meet. There's no classroom. Everything is online on FOL. You'll be provided with weekly instructions, and in those instructions, you'll typically see the following. One, you'll see a video each week, and in fact, in many weeks, there may be more than one video. You'll have lab instructions, and you'll work through a series of labs throughout the course, and they really are the core of this course. The labs are incredibly detailed and very, very important to learning the material. If you do have questions, and I'm sure they'll come up, you'll go ahead and post those to a discussion board on FOL. The beauty of the discussion board is that students taking this course will be able to not only post their own questions and see responses, but they'll be able to look at other questions and responses from other students and the professor as part of the course. There is a feature in which you can subscribe to a course so that any new postings you'll automatically receive. So you should go ahead and take some time today and just review the instructions for this week. I wanted to mention a couple of the pros and cons of an online course because I know that some students really like them and I know that other students don't care for them. I'm a big supporter of online courses for many reasons, and here's a few of them. Well, first of all, the students can work on the material at their own pace, and in fact, you should be able to work ahead on the course. I know that you've got a difficult job as a student and you're going to be juggling a lot of different priorities. And I think it's really helpful if you have a course where you can actually get ahead. And because these semesters are very short, they're only 14 weeks in length. And towards the end of the semester, things usually heat up a little bit with all the different priorities. So I just think it's great that you can actually do the work early in advance and hopefully provide more time at the end for other courses that may need more attention. I think secondly, you can watch it on really your device, any device that you have, at a time and a place of your choosing. So if you like to work early in the morning or late in the evening, again, the course allows for that. I've tried to ensure that all the videos are really short in the course. I don't want to put you to sleep, so I try and keep them to about 15 or 20 minutes in length maximum. And that might mean that there will be more than one video in a given week, but that's probably a good thing. Can you imagine trying to listen to me for several hours? I don't think so. I think you'll find too that the labs in this course are very detailed and provide a solid foundation for learning SQL. And I think by having the paper labs instructions or electronic versions of it, it's a really good record, not only for now when you're taking the course, but in the future when you actually are on the job site and need to refer back to some of the stuff that you've learned as part of this course. I think too, even though it's an online course, there is help available at every step of the process. And it begins with posting questions to the discussion board, or if needed, please contact the professor. We're always happy to hear from you and would love to spend time and work on any issues that you might have. The last thing is you will be required to be focused, prepared, and self-sufficient. And I do view that as a pro. I think many of us have difficult time trying to be prepared, be proactive, and I think this helps reinforce that. I just mentioned a moment ago, under the pros, that you'll be required to be focused, prepared, and self-sufficient. And I think we all struggle with that, so I think it's also a con. If you're somebody that really isn't good in being proactive, with planning your time effectively, with leaving things too late, it can really be difficult. So I think because this is a con in addition to a pro, we need to develop strategies to help you be successful this term. I think you should try and plan out your week accordingly. In a typical week, I would start with Monday as a kind of a key day to work on the assignments associated with this course. The great thing about Mondays, by starting at the beginning of the week, you'll be able to focus on the material when you have few classes scheduled. And as you work through the labs, you'll ultimately be able to ask questions long before anything is due, and we typically expect you to complete the work and submit it on Sundays. So ideally, I'd like you to treat this like a job. I'd like you to schedule 3 hours on Monday, or potentially more, to work on the labs, to ask questions throughout the week, and make sure that by Friday that you submit them at Fanshawe Online. Don't leave it to the weekend. I don't really want to see any submissions on Sunday, even though everything is due on Sunday at noon. So try and get it done early, and you can't avoid it, so please do that. I think too some students feel isolated in doing online courses, but I'd hope that you don't do that. And in fact, I would hope that we can provide a very high level of service to you, whether that's through questions on the discussion board, whether that's through communication of other means possible. I know that I like to use video conferencing with students from time to time, but just make sure that, if you need assistance, to reach out, and we're always happy to make sure that we provide hopefully high quality service to you. There is a course information sheet that describes this course in detail posted on FOL. I'd hope you'd take time either today or later this week to review it. This course is really a course about relational databases and the structured query language, or SQL. It builds on the concepts that were introduced last semester in Info 1120. Although we used Microsoft Access last semester, we're now going to step it up to a different database product. In this term, we're going to use Oracle. And Oracle is just a much larger, more industrial strength database product. And I think that you'll be able to, once you start using the product, understand many of the values and benefits that you might receive in Oracle over something that we looked at last semester, for example, Access. When you're reading the CIS, it's going to talk about a lot of the goals and objectives of the course, but I think the one line in particular that really says it up for me, or sums it up, it's really emphasis is placed on mastering the fundamentals of the structured query language for creating, maintaining database objects, complex queries, and a tool to perform typical database administrative tasks. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. There is no textbook for this course. There's nothing that you need to buy, which I think is, for many students, great news. To access the materials, it's all available on Fanshawe Online under the weekly instructions. So how do you find it? In the new interface on FOL, you simply go to the content link, weekly notes, and week 1. And there you should see an overview for each week of the work that needs to be done, and below that, a set of individual instructions for the videos, labs, and any quizzes that are associated with the work for each week. I know that every student wants to know how they're going to be evaluated for each course. The evaluation for this course really involves 3 separate components. There's a lab component, a projects component, and an exam component. The labs will be 40% of your grade, the exams will be 40%, and the projects 20%. For the labs, there are 10 labs, 1 each week for 10 weeks, and they'll be worth 4 marks apiece. Most weeks will include a course video or videos and a lab instruction, and you'll work through that throughout the week and make sure that you submit it on Sunday at noon. The labs are due at noon on Sunday, no exceptions. You can't submit them late, and there's no makeup opportunities. Submit the lab, get them in on time, and that's what's most important. For the projects are actually going to be done in a classroom, so it's really a practicum. You're going to be given a 2-hour time slot twice this semester, one around week 7 and one at the end of the course, and you're going to be provided with some sample output, and you're going to be expected to produce those results. As part of that practicum, you're going to be building on the knowledge that you've learned in the labs, and that's why the labs are so key. You have to be able to demonstrate during that practicum that you've understood the material and you can apply it in a given situation. You'll find that the labs and the practicums, what's most important is they're centered around the things that businesses would typically want you to do. SQL on its own is just a tool, it's just a language. But what's more important is really how do we use that tool? How do businesses exploit that to analyze information, extract information, and to further their business goals and objectives? So that's incredibly important. Now, the last part is the exams. There is a midterm exam worth 20% and a final exam worth 20% as well. I should also mention for the projects and the exams that your attendance is mandatory. So even though this is an online course, for both the project practicums and the exams, you'll be doing that in a classroom. So again, your attendance will be mandatory at that time. I know, I'm beginning to sound like a broken video. I just want to emphasize again how important the course deadlines are. This is second semester now. During first semester, we had a number of students that would, again, maybe miss a due date by a day or two, and we would overlook that and accept it. But now we need to start thinking ahead and really thinking about the workplace. You have to deliver things on time. It's extremely important in IT, and we want to hold you to that high standard. And I think if we do that, I think that you will step up and submit the work on time and hopefully very high quality work. So again, plan on spending at least 3 hours a week each week, as well as any additional hours you need to study for the course or to complete any work that's associated with this course. Do not wait until Sunday to complete the work. You don't know what's going to happen. Anything can. The internet can go down potentially. Who knows? You know, with the labs, you're going to find that they're very detailed. And I would also caution you that you should read those labs like a love letter. You need to look at them and pay careful attention to each word, how things are described, what the intent is behind the instruction or the question, and hopefully you'll be able to take those instructions and complete the work as asked for and required. As always, the labs are due at noon on Sundays, lunchtime, middle of the day, and that's consistent with some of the other courses that I offer online here at the college, and that tends to work out pretty well. You will have questions as you move throughout the course. Please use the course discussion board on FOL to post your questions, and I'll reply as quickly as possible. The beauty of using the discussion board is that other students, and again, many students share the same concerns, can look at your question and the answers as well. If you do have an issue of a more private or personal nature, by all means, please go ahead and email us. We're happy to hear from you, and we will respond within 24 hours maximum. So please use the discussion board first. Please, let's get started on the right foot and use that as an effective tool for communicating with everybody. But by all means, feel free to email us, and we'll get back to you quickly. This is an online course, but we've decided, because it's the first time we've offered an online, that we're going to offer a help session. Each week, what we've decided to do is offer a 1-hour drop-in session. And ideally, what I'd like you to use these sessions for is really as follows. I want you to go ahead and each week, as you work through your labs, try and work on your own to complete them. Starting hopefully on Monday would be great. So really, prior to attending any one of these help sessions, these drop-in sessions, I'd hope that you make an honest attempt to complete it on your own. If you do the work on Monday, then hopefully when we have a help session, and by the way, those help sessions are usually on Tuesdays and or Fridays, you'll at least be able to go in with a specific question. Shelley has kindly agreed to be hosting the help sessions for this semester, and I'm sure that she will be able to provide a tremendous amount of knowledge and assistance to make sure that your questions are answered quickly. This is not meant to be another option for lecturing. She won't be giving a lecture in there. It's really for there to get some one-on-one hands-on assistance, and that's what we'd like to keep it to. So if you work with it, you work with the database product and with the labs, and if you still have questions, then please, by all means, use the drop-in times. We will be posting a schedule for the drop-ins on FOL, so if you want to know the date, the time, the location, because it may vary from week to week, please consult FOL, and all that information will be posted there. And I'm sure you'll look forward to working with Shelley throughout these drop-in sessions this semester. Before I discuss this week's lab, I did want to spend a moment and talk about Oracle. Oracle builds industrial strength and scalable products. They've really been building these products since 1977. And if you look at the revenues for 2017, they had $37.3 billion in sales. So obviously, in terms of the IT industry, a very, very important organization. I think one of the reasons why we want you to learn Oracle is because of the strong market demand for Oracle skills. SQL skills are very important, and in fact, any IT developer that's going to graduate at a Fanshawe should have strong SQL skills. And I think that that's proven. If you take a look at the job boards, if you go to Indeed or Dice or any number of job boards and search for the term SQL or Oracle, you'll see that there's incredibly strong demand for this skill set. Oracle really is, in terms of the foundation of many web applications or other applications, they are really the database product of choice. And we want to make sure that you're exposed to that here at the college. In terms of Oracle, they have a number of different database products, and the product that we're going to use is their Application Express product. As I've mentioned, we're going to be using Application Express to learn SQL. The SQL that you're going to be learning and using in Application Express, I should mention, that really will apply to any relational database technology. So don't be concerned about that. If you're learning SQL with Oracle's product, the bulk of it is going to be generic. There will be some unique features, however, that only Oracle will understand, and we will highlight that throughout the course. So just keep that in mind. There will be some differences, and you'll be aware of it before the end of the course. So I'm not concerned about that. I should also mention that Application Express contains a lot of features that go way beyond the scope of this course. Now, I'd like you to feel free to explore those other features. I would just prefer that you do that after this semester. You know, right now the focus is on SQL, and we want to put your time and efforts there. And in the future, hopefully you'll have time to look at other aspects of this product because it is a great tool. And finally, Lab 1. There are several goals for this week's lab. First, we want to be able to review your SQL skills that were developed last semester. We're going to use the w3schools.net site to do that. I know a number of students actually used that site last semester and used it to practice and reinforce their SQL skills. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to use that platform again. The nice thing about it is there's two parts to that. One is that they do have tutorials, so you can go and refresh your SQL knowledge by just simply working through the tutorials. And secondly, we're going to ask you in particular to execute a series of different SQL commands using their real-time engine. The W3 Schools site has a database engine embedded in their website, and it will allow you to practice your basic SQL. You will find detail out in the lab. There'll be instructions not only on the design of the database for the W3 Schools site, but it'll also give you a series of instructions and SQL statements to review, execute, and practice prior to the end of the week. This is the only week that we're going to be using the W3 Schools site, so just keep that in mind. Secondly, and probably more importantly, is to register with Oracle so that you can start using their product next week. We want to make sure that with Application Express that you're all signed up, registered, and ready to go so that we can start work next Monday in week 2 on using the Oracle product. So as far as this week goes, if you can get those two things done, if you can go to the W3 Schools site and work through the instructions in the lab, and you can register with Oracle, that's the only thing that's really required for this week. You will have to complete a lab, and it's posted on FUL in the quiz section. So once you've completed both the registration and the primer, please go ahead to the lab and answer the questions for the Lab 1 quiz. Once you've done that, hopefully you'll be ready to go next week. I should also mention and caution you that when you register with Oracle, it may take up to 24 hours in order for you to get a verification email. If you don't receive one within 24 hours, it's usually because it's gone to an email location that's not supported. So, for example, I would prefer that you use your Fanshawe Online email account because the emails from Oracle tend to flow through that email server easily. I know a number of other email servers might restrict that. It might appear in junk, so I don't want that to happen. I want to make sure that you're all set for next week. So go ahead, get that done, enjoy it, let's get started, and I'm looking forward to a great semester. I hope you are too. I'll talk to you next week.